Now hey guys, welcome back to the channel, another Swiss01 video, and welcome back to Flight Simulator Fun with Swiss01, which rhymes very well. And today we're finally back with reviewing a special airport. Now today we're actually in the Alpine Mountains here in the Flight Simulator to check out Gstaad Airport, or Saanen Airport. Here it is. In the west of Switzerland, finally. We're back in Switzerland. To give some information, we're here. This is Geneva down here. Yeah, that's just Switzerland for you. And this is a very interesting airport indeed in the middle of the Alpine Mountains, isn't it? This has got like an officially 1,400 meter long runway, but that's obviously with the displaced threshold included, meaning that the actual runway that you end up using on an operation with planes is much shorter, actually like 70% of that 1,400 meters, which is like 1,000 meters. You know, I've just calculated that in my head real quick. So this is really not the longest runway, especially for being in the middle of the Alpine Mountains, which is at quite a high elevation. We all know that planes have a lower performance when flying at a higher altitude. So meaning that the highest of the highest airports have the longest of the longest runways. Normally. Well, at least that's what they're supposed to have, but this is not the longest runway at all, which is perfect for a Swiss video. Let's actually just go ahead and fly off with our Cessna. I mean, that shouldn't be a challenge, even though I can definitely tell the performance of this plane is heavily limited up here, especially compared to flying it at sea level in good winds and pretty much low weight. This plane isn't a performer up here, but obviously this is a small plane, so a small runway like this isn't no problem. We can check out the ramp. As you can see, there are a lot of helicopter pads here. I think that's actually the most of traffic that you can find here. Another plane that you can find on the ramp is the good old Piaggio Avanti, or Piaggio, I think. Whatever. Yeah, let's just go ahead and fly some big planes here, which is what we always do on the channel. Alright, so what do we begin with? I mean, we can start with a Swiss plane, actually. How about Pilatus? And we can already go for something like a jet PC-2040s. Alright, welcome aboard a private jet. Now, the thing about flying in the Alpine Mountains, and yes, we are literally about to crash into one. Yeah, there we go. It's obviously, as you can see, the approach. You cannot just approach straight in, obviously, otherwise you'll crash into this mountain here, which we almost just kind of did. So that doesn't work. No, you always have to fly, of course, around the mountains, which, you know, is pretty much the explanation of the displaced threshold. Again, this part of the runway that's got arrows on it. You're not really supposed to land on these parts and use them. They are basically there because you couldn't be able to touch down on the beginning of the runway anyway, because there's buildings here everywhere and mountains, so you end up touching on the middle of the runway anyway, after all. So that's a really bad explanation, isn't it? Let's just go ahead and get our PC-24 landed. A plane that's totally able to operate. Oh wow, that was actually a smooth landing here. Yeah, this plane is totally able to operate here just fine. I'm very proud of that landing. I think today's video is going to be good, especially with the bigger planes. All right, let's check out this landing right here. All right, PC-24 traffic coming in, and a pretty damn smooth landing. What can you say? Jesus Christ, that was perfect. Spot on. As you can see, we stopped, but we did pretty much use the whole runway that's actually usable. Now, for a takeoff, actually, you can use the displaced threshold, so you would taxi all the way to the end of the runway and backtrack. So you just, you know, do a U-turn, basically. Let's go ahead then and try a bigger plane. I mean, we can try an ERJ-135, another jet, but this is obviously a lot bigger. This is an actual proper airliner now. Plane, this is definitely not going to be able to fly here properly in real life, of course. Or is it? I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to stop this plane here just fine. Even though I do doubt if you can actually legally operate this plane here. But as you can see, ERJ-135, a very nice plane. Here we go. It's a little loud and it's a little old, as you can see, even the old American livery here. But the runway is down here, so let's go ahead and get this plane landed here. Everything is ready. Now, I don't know what an American ERJ-135 actually does here, but that's a whole other story. I mean, there are private jets that are actually this kind of size. You know, the Embraer Legacy, for example. And, you know, this place here in real life is full of private jets. So maybe we can see. Can we fly a plane like this here? Okay, coming in nicely. Now we have these trees here, which is another big obstacle, which makes again land pretty much on the middle of the runway, right? Which is the explanation for the displaced threshold. Okay, this has been a hard landing, a little bit worse than the one in the Pilatus PC-24, but the thing is, if you have a runway this short, you're gonna want to use the most of it, so I'm glad we didn't waste anything. Alright, that was a pretty good landing though. no worries about the stopping distance of the ERJ-135 here. Let's move on then to a different plane, A320. Now, this is a little bit critical, you know, on a 1,000 meter long runway, practically 1,000 meter long runway. We're definitely going to be overrunning onto the displaced threshold, which I think is legally already an overrun, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. All right, A320, let's do this. Am I nervous about this landing? I honestly think that it'll be all right. But what I'm nervous though about is definitely the frames per second that we're receiving right now. Yeah, this is a very realistic plane, very complex simulation, of course. The flight factor A320 or something. Plane literally just said don't terrain. Nice. This is something that you obviously have here in flying in the Alpine regions with an Airbus. You have a lot of interesting alerts because the plane really does not like being flown between terrain like this, right? Of course. Okay, so let's go ahead. Maybe try even coming in for a smooth landing. You know, it doesn't always have to be hard.
2 seconds later.
Alright, forget about that hard landing thing. Jesus Christ, that was really not good now. Alright, let's go ahead and come in for a good old stop here. Alright, pressing down on the brakes all the way, which isn't really healthy for the plane, but healthy for the fuselage. That's not gonna crash. Well, whatever, we did not die, so that's good. Let's go ahead and move on then. Why not try something like an A330 as well? You know, the good old plane with a tilted landing gear that makes landings look super smooth. Maybe we want that. See, I haven't landed the A330 on short runways before, so I think it's time to do it. And loading into the plane crashed the flight simulator. Yeah, I forgot that that's broken as well. Okay then, 777 then, let's try this. This is now a big plane. I'm actually kind of scared now. Wait, this has been a pretty big step. The last plane that actually worked here was the A320, and you know, that's a lot smaller than this plane. Just to give some comparison, the GE90 engines of the 777 are as thick as the fuselage of the A320. So, we're gonna die pretty much. That's what we've got to say. All right. See, just the approach here into this airport is pretty tough here with this kind of plane, because it's not a very agile plane for sure. I mean, just with its sheer size. This plane is very hard to move. That was 1,000 feet per minute landing, but I want to use the most runway possible because it is already ending very soon. We can hear clapping in the background, but that's only because the computer is forced to clap at us and we're about to oh my goodness. This is gonna get close. This is gonna get real close. Real deal. Oh my goodness. Oh, and well, that hasn't worked. Well, the 777 and let me just say short runways aren't the best friends. Let me just say that, okay? So this landing, I tried to do the best, but the problem is, again, you cannot use the whole runway here. You can really just use the runway that's behind the displaced threshold, right? And that really hasn't worked very well. Okay. Well then, let's try then and go ahead and try a bigger plane, 747-8. You may wonder now, wait, why are you trying a bigger plane when the 777 already hasn't worked out? Well, see, as far as I remember, the 747 has a very good stopping performance for its size. And we're about to crash into a mountain right there. And we did not crash. That's good. See, this is another problem here, definitely with a plane this big, though. Again, not being agile at all. Alright, come on. We're gaining a lot of speed from just falling down from that mountain. And we're very fast now. This is going to be a very interesting landing for sure. This is, Alright, come on. Let's just try our best here. At 200 knots, we're going to definitely not make it, are we? Okay, let's try this. Alright, that's been a hard landing, something that the 747 will have to get used to when flying to this place. But what we do have is an actual stop soon, I hope, I guess. Come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. There we go. But can the 747 practically fly here? Definitely not. So, yeah guys, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. As always, good night. Now, thank you very much to all my members, especially the A380 members, Government Pizza, Riley Preston, Thomas Roach, Finian M, Laridas Lama, No You, Philip Schneider, Leo, Mark Helbling, Great Grandpa John, Toby Cook, very much appreciated, British 001, Deload, White T, Moritz Wellhausen, Jackson Hawker, Joan Matude, Darcy Hunkin, and Matt Satorno.